This is the second part of form handling in ReactJS, and in this we are going to study and implement the uncontrolled component in form handling. This is how it works. We have a form input element where the user enters the data. In an uncontrolled component, the user field does not store its value in the React state. Instead, it maintains its own state internally. It uses a ref. Ref is nothing but a way to access the DOM element or the component directly. So by attaching a ref to the input element, we can retrieve its current value at any point, even without updating the component state. So means that we do not require state at all. When the user changes the value in the input field, the input element updates its value internally without involving any React state. Now, when it's the time to retrieve the input value, the ref is used to access the current value of the input element. And when the form is submitted, the value of the input field is retrieved via the ref and handled here, which allows us to perform any necessary actions with whatever the input data we have received. For better understanding, we will implement one example. We'll create a function component and let's create a form. We need a username, input type equals to text, and the second one we require is a password, input, we'll use input type equals to text only for the time being. We need a button as well, input type equals to submit. Now we are going to create two references that will be attached to these two input elements in the form. So let's create the two references. First, we need a reference that will be attached to the first input element, input ref1. Now whose value will be assigned as useRef. We are going to understand this concept soon. And a second one, we need input ref2 equals to useRef and null. We also are required to import the useRef. So we are using the useRef hook because we want to create a reference to a DOM element. This will allow us to directly access the element in the component, and mostly it is useful when you directly want to interact with the DOM element, especially when you don't require the states. We also require ref in order to attach these references. Ref equals to input ref1, and here also ref equals to input ref2. Let's create the function to handle the form submission. So we are going to use onSubmit equals to JSX. Create the function, handle submit, use event as the parameter, alert the details are input ref1 dot current dot value and input ref2 dot current dot value, and use event dot prevent default. Utilize the function here on submit. So as of now, it might be a little difficult to understand the input ref1 dot current dot value. Let me comment out. For better understanding, let's use console.log and see that what does input ref1 dot current and input ref2 dot current, what they are printing. We need to see that. Okay, let's check the browser. Let's reload once. Right, so I'm going to write something, let's say A and B, and let's submit. So what do you see? You are able to see the two text boxes. So don't you think that the input ref1 and input ref2 are basically the objects which has the current property, and the current property is returning the text boxes. Now, if we are using the value is a subproperty inside the current property. So it is going to actually fetch the values from these two text boxes. So it means that if I try to fetch the value from input ref1 dot current dot value and input ref2 dot current dot value, I should be able to print the data in the alerted box. Now let's understand the differences between controlled and uncontrolled components. The controlled component is always managed by the React state, while the uncontrolled component is managed using the DOM itself. The controlled components allow real-time validation through state updates, while the uncontrolled does not support real-time validation easily. When we have controlled components, we utilize the event handling, and onChange event updates the React state. While in uncontrolled component, it directly accesses the DOM element without using any event handler. No doubt, the controlled components are often more complex due to state handling, and while the uncontrolled components are simpler for quick forms without using much logic. This is all for now. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos.